Wonderful. Good day to you all on this wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whatever day it may be. I was having a conversation with this guy the other day, and it really got me thinking, like quite a bit. It was some dude that I had never met beforehand. I was just at the gym listening to one of my friends. Her and we were talking, and she was telling me about how her mom's just kind of like a POS, which I feel really bad for her in those regards, and I wanted to listen and hear what she had to say. I could see that there was a lot of hurt behind her eyes as well too when she was talking about that stuff, and I was just like, I'm just gonna listen. I'll just listen to her in the best way that I possibly can and help out in whatever way that needs to be. Sometimes I won't ever actually say anything. Sometimes I can just, it's weird, and this might sound a little bit crazy to some of you, but I can just almost tell. It's kind of like I'm Clay, and this is what one of the dudes that I was just told you about a moment ago, he told this to me, and I've thought about it as well too. Is like, I'm a chameleon, and I can just like mold into these other people instead of being like a sheet of paper that just kind of like folds over and doesn't know where to go. It's like I'm like the clay that like goes into like each and every single crevice. That's exactly what I was doing with her the other day when we were talking. As I was just listening, and I could just see like this look in her eyes that she wanted to cry, but she was angry and upset. And I understand it, because there's a lot of times in my life as well too, and I've had conversations with my dad, I've had conversations with other people as well, where there's just like that hurt in the eyes, and I feel sad for him. I do, because I felt that feeling myself as well too. Like, instead of feeling the emotion of like the sadness or the grief or the loneliness, whatever it may be, I would just yell and get angry and want to hit things and or like kick things. Like, I broke a bathtub. It was so stupid. I broke a bathtub once on accident with my heel, because there was this girl that I was talking with, and things didn't end up working out in the ways that we wanted it to, and I just got very upset and pissed off about the thing, and it was just very unsettling, and I had angry stuff. I even punched like the roof of my car one day as well too. But I'm like, I do my best to feel the emotions that I need to feel. And as I was looking her in the eyes, I could just feel this, like I was almost going into her in a sense. Like, it's strange, but it's something that I can do. It's just within the eyes, I can just tell, like I can see everything there. And I'm like, okay, so there's more behind this. Like, there's layers and layers and layers and layers. And I'll just sit here. I'll just look. I'll just observe. I won't say anything. And when I'm doing these things, it's weird because my mind is blank. I'm 100% with the person when I'm doing this. And I just felt the sorrow. Maybe you feel the sorrow. Maybe sometimes you get angry. Maybe sometimes you get frustrated. And you don't allow yourself to feel that sorrow. And that's why I did ask. And I was like, do you ever journal? And she tried to stop, and I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just here. I'm just going to listen. After I brought that one little comment up, I was like, she just needs to vent. She needs to get this out. And I'll just heal her through my eyes. That's what I do quite a bit. There was a woman a while ago where I was sitting at the bar, and I could just feel the same feeling as well too. And I was like looking at her in the eyes, where we had this like deep, meaningful connection. And then she was like, yeah, we can go back to my place. And I was like, all right, sure. She wanted to give me a massage or something like that, which I was like, that's cool. And we ended up having a look, and she told me about how she heard this thing with this couple, about this people, about this guy that she was seeing. And she didn't want, something told her that she needed to get up and leave. And then when I went back to her place, something told me the exact same thing. It's like, hey, you need to get up and go. So that's what I did. And when I did that, I was just like, yeah, I'm sorry, I gotta go. We both started just bawling our eyes out, like crying together. The complete stranger that I had never met before. Never had a conversation. I just ended up going to the bar that night. We ended up having a conversation. I could see something within her eyes as well too. And it was as if I was having to let her go, and she was having to let me go. Even though I didn't know her, she didn't know me, but we were both being vessels in a sense so that we can move forward in the direction that we needed to move forward in. And after that moment, my haunt was something, I'd have to check the dates. I don't know if my dates are exactly right, but I'm pretty sure that date when I did that said thing, then the person that was the vessel for that said experience ended up meeting somebody else later, because we both let each other go, because we knew that we would both be okay on our own. Which that still just makes me sad, dude. Not for today's video though. I feel those things. Like, you can feel those things as well too within yourself. I don't know if you ever, like, this is what I was talking about with this one dude the other day, is there's that intuition, that intuitive knowing of like being able to pick up on the small subtleties within yourself. And from what I've seen and the people that I've talked with, even with talking with him the other day as well too, is a lot of times people don't have that ability to pick up on those small subtleties that they feel within themselves. The only way that I can really advise you to do that is the way that I was able to do it, and it was through like journaling. That's what I recommended to her, along with meditation is another good one. Spending time alone, like going on walks, bike rides, hikes, going out into nature and just sitting there by yourself. You can always bring like a camera with you if you want to. I would do that a lot myself. Like I'd bring the GoPro and then I'd document myself meditating, because that was like my way of staying accountable to my meditations, which I really thoroughly enjoyed that. And I just spent a lot of time getting to know myself. Because even the guy last night, he told me, he's like, how old are you? I was like, I'm 28. He's like, dude, you're really far along. Like he thought I was like 30. I was like, no, I turned 29 this year. He's like, you're really, really far along for like your age. And I was like, well, I appreciate that. He's like, yeah, no, like compared to like people that are in the 35s and 40s, like you're leagues above them. And I'm like, well, thank you. Like, I appreciate that. I just wanted to know who I was. I wanted to know where I came from. I wanted to know what my purpose was. I just wanted to know myself, because everything else that I see in the world, everybody's always pushing you that you need these other solutions to make you feel happy. But those things never make you feel happy. The only thing that will ever truly bring any sort of lasting fulfillment, at least from my perspective, is understanding yourself. Know what you want, know your needs, know how you can communicate, ask for what you need to ask for. Because even the other day at the gym, there's a girl that was pretty attractive. Not necessarily the type of woman that I would go for, but like the type of woman that I'm like, you know, I could have some fun with you type of thing. Even her friends are like, yeah, all my friends say like, why do you dress like a stripper when you come to the gym? I was like, hey, I mean, they're your friends, so you can say that type of thing. Because I didn't know how old she was, because there's sometimes like, there's these girls that'll dress a lot older than they are. And I'm like, I just need to clarify this. So I literally just went up and I asked her, I was like, hey, how old are you? I did that after I asked for her for a piece of gum. And that's a small little hack or strategy that you can use. I know this isn't necessarily part of this video or in line with this, but it's just a small little thing that I want to let you know on this. If you ever want somebody to trust you a little bit more, and this is just a persuasion sales strategy tactic thing along those lines, just ask for them to hand you something or ask them to give you something. So if it's like, I just asked her, I was like, she was taking out a piece of gum, I was like, hey, can I have a piece? And she's like, yeah, here you go. And then I took out a piece, and then I like ended up throwing the trash away to show like there's a mutual exchange between it. But that's just a small little subtle thing that I would highly recommend. If you want to get in better, if you want to be better at communicating and have these conversations, like ask for something first for the person to give it to you. I think Benjamin Franklin quoted that, and he said like, if you ask somebody for something, you can give it, they can give it to you. I can't remember the exact quote, but I just remember, I feel like it was Ben Franklin that said it. I could be wrong with that as well too. You can fact check me if you want. I just see communicating and talking with people as one of the most valuable things, and being able to pick up on people that are willing to have more deep, meaningful conversations. It's why the people that are attracted to my videos right now, it's a smaller community, which I'm grateful for you watching my videos. And if you watch my videos every single day, thank you. And if you're new to the channel, you can always subscribe, because that's completely free, click of a button. The reason why our channel is the way that it is because we have very niche topics. We talk about things that very few people will understand. It's why I don't have a whole bunch of friends. It's why maybe you don't have a whole bunch of friends. It's because our concepts and our ideas, they go deeper. They aren't these small surface level conversations that people have. It is, how do I evolve? How do I grow? Who am I? What do I want? What do I desire? How do I grow spiritually? How do I grow mentally? How do I grow physically? How do I grow intellectually? How do I grow heartily? Like, how do I grow in all these different ways? And a lot of people, they don't want to do that. You might be wondering, like, why? Why do they not want to do that? It's because it's hard. A lot of people, they don't want to do hard work. They'd rather just sit on their ass. And don't get me wrong, I do that myself as well too. Like after I got back from the gym last night, like after having the 2 hour long conversation with the guy, I ended up watching a show on YouTube. That's what I ended up doing. And then I ended up going to bed. But then when I was laying in bed, I was replaying the whole conversations that I had throughout the day to be able to make this video today, because I needed time to process it. I tried to journal about it, but I was like, it's too fresh in my mind. I need to sit with it. I need to process it. I need to let my brain go off and do the things that it needs to do, so that then I could come back and make a video like this. But that's what I do, dude, is like, I make videos. I share other people's ideas and suggestions. And other people have tried to dim my light. They try to bring me down. Maybe they've tried to bring you down as well too. And that's okay. You can kind of, I guess, look at it in terms of like the Matrix will come in and like they'll bring in an Agent Smith or something like that to try and stop you. It really just kind of depends. But if you're able to overcome and handle the objections, then you can basically fight through anything that you need to fight through, and or provide any sort of value that you need to provide to the people that need to have it and or hear it. Because maybe you've walked past people. I know I've walked past people where sometimes there's like this feeling, no, like I need to say what's up to them, or I need to talk to them, or I could just tell that this person needed something from me, or on the opposite side of those things as well too. And this is the crazy part with one of the things that the guy said the other day to me. He's like, typically you'd go out and like you'd approach people, but now you've started like use your discernment and let people come to you instead. And I was like, yeah, I have. He's like, sometimes like your light can be so blinding for some people, and they'll be like overwhelmed, and then they'll be like, oh no, like I can't hear, I can't see. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. So I've just realized that sometimes I'll sit back and I'm like, if somebody wants to come up and talk with me, then they have to be the one that approaches. Because I can tell intuitively, I'm like, this person wants to come up and say something, but then I'm like, nah, dude, like, if you want it, you have to come here. Like, I'm not going to go over to you. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. It just kind of depends. I use my discernment, my intuition in those regards, and that's what the guy was telling me earlier. He's like, your intuition seems to be very highly developed. I look at it in terms of the thing that breathes me and keeps my heart beating is the thing that I try my best to follow each and every single day. That's why you can also go on walks. One of my buddies told this to me a while ago too, and I've tested it myself. Like, go on a walk without your phone or on a hike or something like that, and just intuitively try to find your way back. Your brain, your body, it knows where it needs to go. You just have to trust that inner guide within yourself, and a lot of people aren't willing to trust that inner guide because it's almost like you're having to surrender. And people don't want to surrender. They want to control. They want to have control. It's like if you just surrender to what is, then everything just happens in the ways that it needs to happen. And there's all these synchronicities. There's no such thing as coincidences. There just isn't. And I've kind of got upset with like other videos and people that talk about that. But the way that they say it, dude, I can just tell that they don't believe it. They're just like regurgitating something else that somebody else has said beforehand, which is perfectly okay. Like, that's fine. Like, I kind of regurgitate like those things as well too from other people that I talk with, but I'm talking with those people. Like, I had that conversation with them in the first place. And then I just relayed the story that they told me to you, so that maybe you can also go out and maybe make a connection with somebody that you weren't originally connected with, or you can have a different idea or a different concept or a different way of thinking. And then you can go back and you can analyze the things that you want to analyze, because that's what this channel is about. It's about like self-discovery. That's why I share everything that I share, is because I have to share the good and the bad, because life is, it has both. And eventually we'll get back out into like doing like some of these videos like on hiking trails, and maybe we'll even have other people come on the channel too and like do podcasts and things like that. Because I had that idea of like just going out onto the street one day a week or something like that, just trying to interview people. We'll see how that goes. I do want to see what I have moving forward in regards to work and monetary compensation, because I was journaling about that today. So we'll have to think about that in regards to things that I'm getting paid for. Because that was one thing that the guy did bring up. He's like, persuasion? Like, you're really good at persuasion. I was like, yeah, I am. It's just, it comes naturally to me. Like, I understand how to persuade people. Even like when I was a kid, my mom would always tell me, she'd be like, yeah, nobody ever wants to play Monopoly with you because you always win. And I'm like, I just know what people want, and then I just give it to them. Like, that's just really all it is for me. I was thinking about something else. There's somebody else that I can't remember who I was talking to, but she was pursing her lips for some other reason. I just saw that picture in my mind. She wanted to say something, but I was talking instead. It might have been the girl that I was telling you about at the beginning. And that's why after I did see those said things, like that body language, I was like, well, I'm just going to step back. I'll just listen to you. You say whatever you need to say. I can understand that you don't need advice right now. You just want somebody to vent to or whatever it may be, which I was talking about that on one of my TikTok videos as well, about how I'll give out free advice, but also at the same time is when you meet me in person. Like, we can chat in person if I'm not in the middle of something or if I don't have to go anywhere. But if it's like this and you want to meet, that's where there has to be payment or something like that. So I'll happily help you start your fire, but then I'll teach you ways to be able to go find your own wood to stoke it yourself, so that then you can keep that light burning in you, because maybe you don't know what you want or what you're after or why things are the way that they are. And in all likelihood, from at least my personal experience, it's because you're okay with those said things, and that's fine. Like, if you're okay with what you're doing, then keep doing that. But if you want to change, like, you got to make the change. Like, I have 2 interviews tomorrow. I have another one on Monday. I just need something that pays me instantly, like right now, not in 6 months or a year or something like that. And that's what I feel like this YouTube content is. It's more of like a long journey, long game type of thing. So we'll see where this ends up going. But I just love having conversations with people. It's really fun and exciting. That's why I had the idea, if I can go out and just meet with some other people and then either share the stories with you like this or actually get them on camera and then just upload those videos as well. You can let me know. Might do a bit of both. It's just really cool, dude, seeing people that I connect with and also want to have deep, meaningful conversations. Something else. It really is. The dude and I, we were talking for 2 hours. Never met him. And I just do that with people. I don't know how many, most people that I know would get bored, and they've told that to me too. They're like, dude, I don't know how you do that. He's like, I had a friend beforehand who he told me, he's like, I don't understand. He's like, I don't want to talk with a dude that just wants to talk about sailboats or things like that. I'm like, to me, I find that interesting. I find anything interesting. Like I was listening to a dude talk about like garage doors a couple days ago. I was listening to another dude that just like coding. I was listening to another guy that's like a CEO. I was listening to another dude that's also into like the metaphysical stuff. I was listening to an artist about what she ends up having to go on and about how we're all like the universe. I've listened to mystics about how they have all these different magical powers and they can just kind of like touch things and like do things through energy work, and then like Reiki healers and people that are just, I love interesting people, and everybody's interesting. Like everybody has a story to say. Everybody has something of value to present to the world. Even if other people have told you that you don't have value, you do have value. You do have a bright light. And especially if you're watching my video right now, like you were drawn to me because people come to me. That's the thing. I don't go out and I try to force people to watch my videos. I don't. And I understand that there are tactics and strategies and ways for me to be able to do that. But that's not the type of audience that I want to attract. I want to attract people that are drawn to this, that want this type of energy, that need these types of talks, that need somebody to help them, inspire them, or stroke their fire, show them that they can be self-motivated, or help them get a job, or get out of a rut, or whatever it may be that you're in right now. Or just have somebody give you a different, fresh perspective. Because I was even emailing one of you back the other day, and I was letting him know, like, why don't you create a website for like your portfolio work? He's like, well, I don't want to use Google Suites because it kind of looks like it looks like garbage. And I was like, well, he's like, because it's free. I was like, well, isn't Instagram free? Isn't that have the same thing? He's like, yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit more refined because people can see your social proof, and that's where I emailed him back. I was like, but you can also do that yourself with your own products as well too. Like you can use the things that you want to use on your website to sell how you want to sell it, even if it is with Google Sites. But I'm just like, at least having some sort of website to be able to present to clients or prospects, I think it can be valuable. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm still working on the one for this one as well too. Haven't done much of that today because I was having to think about some other things. I wanted to process the ideas and thoughts that the guy ended up sharing with me yesterday, which I'm really grateful for. The conversation that we had, I asked him if he wanted to be on a podcast. So hopefully we'll get him on a podcast. I was talking with this other girl too that's like 36 and she's going back to college to get her doctorate. And I was like, hey, you also want to do a podcast? And she's like, yeah, that'd be fun. I was like, hey, you're kind of inspiring me to think about going back to college so that I could get like a psychiatrist degree or doctorate or something along those lines. I love the sales side and the persuasion side, and I love making these videos and just being able to talk to people, because that was one of the other things that the guy did end up bringing up. Was he's like Joe Rogan, the way that he sells himself, and that's all I'm doing is like I'm just selling myself. He does that through the podcasting. And if we didn't have the internet, then we wouldn't be able to make videos like this. There's a lot of nonsense that goes on in the world. That's why I do my best just to actually talk with like real people instead of watching it on the news and things like that, because then I can at least challenge it. I can question it. They can ask me questions about those things. Whereas like when you're just watching a video like this, unless you're in my community and like you leave a comment down below, most people in other comments that I've left on other people's videos, like they're very just surface level. That they don't ask another question. They don't ask like depth. They don't provide any sort of insight. They don't provide any sort of advice or just questions or whatever it is. There's no conversation or dialogue, and maybe it's because their channel's too big. I don't know. But I'm like, you guys had the time to respond to this comment. You couldn't at least ask a question or continue this conversation on. That's where I say most people, they don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to have these conversations. They don't care enough about other people. And I made a video a couple days ago just showing my expression and love and gratitude for each and every single one of you. Because we're all here for a purpose. Like we all have meaning. We all have a drive. We all have something that we can achieve in our lives. Just seems like very few people want to do those things, which is fine. I understand it. I get it. Just why sell yourself short? Know your value. Know who you are. Know how bright your light is. Typically, if you aren't able to have like deep, meaningful conversations, this video wouldn't have reached you in the first place. Whereas if you can have deep, meaningful conversations, then this video was for you. Self-analyze, self-criticize, self-actualize. It's your life after all. Live it how you want. Let people know how you feel. Brighten up somebody's day. Ask questions. Be curious. Follow up. Ask the girl out. Have the conversation. Go do the thing. Might be surprised at what ends up happening. So, appreciate all of you. Talk to you tomorrow.